Hey everybody, welcome to watchingcode.com office hour session number 54. This is the place to get all of your questions answered about watching code material, so practical JavaScript or content in Premium. And so just go through kind of live Q&A with those questions. And so if you want to call in and ask questions, you'll want to go onto the Hangout link so you can get into this call. The way you do that if you're watching on the live stream is to go into the description. So I'm on the live stream page right now. And if you go into the description, you'll see the Google Docs link that I'm on right here. And here I will post the call-in link right now. So there it is. So that's how you call in. Do that if you have a question. And then, of course, join the Facebook group to get more info and attend upcoming sessions, especially if the schedule changes. You'll get notified about that if you join on Facebook. Students of the week. It was Heggy for 2 weeks in a row, so I had to switch it up. But so this time it's a couple of students. These students have been really active in our new we have like this virtual video hangout link for premium students. And Brian, these are in alphabetical order, so no favorites. I'm not playing favorites. Brian, David, Devin, and Eddie have, I think, been the most active, at least that I've noticed. If you've been active and I haven't noticed you, then I apologize. I'm wrong. But these are the students that have made the video chat like pretty lively and fun, and I really just want to encourage people to stay focused and keep learning. And I think Brian, David, Devin, and Eddie have been good examples of that, good role models for the other students. Okay, so the next thing is the public service announcement and new stuff. The new stuff we have this week is on Accounting.js. So it's also it's part of Watching Code Premium, and it's the last video. And this one is about recursively mapping arrays. So it's a kind of complex example of recursion, which is a more advanced programming technique. So the last 3 videos have been on recursion. So we started with really simple versions of recursion in part 15, and through 3 videos, we build to a pretty complicated recursive example. And so we go through that in the latest video. So that's the new stuff. So check that out if you haven't yet. And then the public service announcement is just a reminder to keep this cheat sheet handy. So if you go to my GitHub, github.com/GordonMZhu, you'll see it. And it's like it says here, super condensed JavaScript reference for watching code students. And it has like kind of 2 key things that I think are really important. One is how to read source code. It has a link to how to be great at asking coding questions, which might be the most important part. But how to ask coding questions, how to read source code, and then understanding this, which is confusing for a lot of people. So just a reminder to check that out when you get a chance. And then after that, refer to it regularly. That's the recommendation. Okay, that's it. That's all I have. So use the cheat sheet. And I'll add a link to it. And then I'll add a link to this too. Okay, that's all I have for you. From here, I'll just go into open questions. So this is the time if you have a question to call in. Let me check the YouTube live stream. So if you're lurking on the YouTube live stream, it's just gonna be open questions from now until the rest of the hour. So you should call in, and the link is in the document, the Google Doc. Wait, is the call in link right here too? Oh wow, hold on. This call link is inaccurate. So the call link is in the Google document. Yeah, the call link on the YouTube live stream was wrong. Sorry about that. Thank you, Brian. So let me share my screen just in case people are confused. This is my fault. But there was a call link right here. That one's wrong. It's not the right one. The right one is when you click onto the notes, it will be at the top of the agenda, the call link right here. So you want to click this, and then you'll get into the room. And you'll see this stuff. Okay, so with that, I'll just go through and answer questions. Who wants to go first? I guess, Heggy, I know you had a question. You want to go first? Okay.
Hi, Gordon. So I had a question on the TDD part 4. I didn't really follow the part where you said it's adding complexity. My Pomodoro is on. Okay, so can I share my screen or?
Yeah, go for it.
Share screen share application. Okay, so this is where I try to debug here. So at first I was here, you know, like, I mean, during the video, the very first part, you wrote it like this. And then you said, no, this is not gonna work because it's not editing callback. I don't know why. So then I said, okay, let me try to debug it.
Well, you don't have the full function. You don't have the part that's actually running the callback on each item in the array.
You mean the ladder?
Yeah, you don't have the ladder portion for each function.
So you mean like the 4 var
Yep.
I equals 0?
Did you intend to leave that out?
I just wanted to focus on just that spot, just like, why is this not working?
Well, I think it's the whole thing is relevant.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
And I can add right now. This is what you mean by that, right?
Right, and then for each callback at this point is just callback. Because you didn't declare for each callback.
Oh, declare for each. Okay.
Here, how about this? Leave your screen shared, and then I'll demonstrate on my computer. Is that okay?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry.
No worries. Okay. So function for each. What were the arguments again?
It's array, callback, configurable this object.
And then
debug.
You wanted to run the debugger, okay?
Yeah, and then if parentheses configurable this object, curly callback dot.
I think I got it from here. So callback dot bind. Configurable.
Configurable.
That's it, right? And then
Close the parentheses. Okay. For each callback. Array I, bracket I, and then I array.
okay, is that it?
Yes.
Okay. So the problem with this code is that if you run for each, you pass in an array, and you pass in a callback, and you pass in a configurable this, and okay. Let's do a really silly example, but we want it to, we want the callback function to just console log this, because that's the only thing we really care about at this moment. So it's going to do that one time. And then you see what happened. What we hoped to have is we hoped that this would be equal to the object right here, right? And we kind of went halfway by taking our callback and binding it to configurable this object. But then when we called the callback, we didn't actually call this function. We called the original function, which isn't bound to anything.
Okay. I think, you know, I think the problem I was going through was that I didn't even know how to go into that debugger. And then I didn't know how to call the for each anymore. I was like, oh, how do I create it? But I think you showed it in the.
Yeah. Well, so let's just keep going, and I'll show you how to fix this.
Okay.
So let's do the same thing and run it through the debugger. So I'm going to. Oh. Okay. I'm just going to run this code. Okay.
Okay.
Matthew. So I'm just going to run this code, and hit enter. So then we'll go into the debugger, and configurable this object is, remember, the object with name Heggy. I'll keep the console open so you can see that this is this is what we did, right? So configurable this object is the third argument. And what does callback bind do, Heggy?
It binds the parentheses object into the callback function, the whatever you put on left of the dot.
Yeah, but so wait, so can you say that one more time? So the line right here, what does it do?
Yes. Okay, so dot bind, whatever that's inside of the parentheses gets assigned to callback. Like it knows that that's the object it's going to refer to. So callback knows that whenever you say callback and this would be configurable object.
Got it. So you're saying that callback.bind, this highlighted section, returns a new version of callback whose this value is bound to configurable this object. Is that okay? So the highlighted section is going to return that function. But here we're calling the original callback. That's not bound to anything. So if you look at callback right now, console dir callback. It doesn't have any. It's not bound to anything. You'll see the difference once you take a look at something like this highlighted section. So let's just inspect what this highlighted section is. So I'll do the same thing. I'll console dir callback bind configurable this object, and here you'll see that it's bound to an object, and that object is name Heggy. Whereas the original callback right here isn't bound to anything. Do you see the difference?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the thing is, instead of calling callback, which is right here, we need to call this function. Because this function is the one that's bound to Heggy. And so we can actually make a pretty, before really changing the code, I'm just going to make a slight modification by saying, at least give a variable, capture this in a variable. Or let's declare the variable. So here's what motivated the change for the later refactoring that I did. I think I declared for each callback, and then I said, if configurable this object, then for each callback is equal to the highlighted portion.
Yeah, for each callback equals callback. I think you just went ahead and assigned callback to the for each initially.
All right.
But
thanks. So at the beginning, for each callback will be equal to the original callback. But if there's a configurable this object, then it will take for each callback and set it to a bound version of the same callback. And then at the end, it just runs the callback, whatever it is. Depending on if you added a configurable this object or not, it will run this function or it will run this function. Any questions about that? Heggy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you have a question about what I've just done?
I think it's. I don't know.
Let's go into the debugger and take a look.
Okay.
So let me register the function first and then run it through the debugger.
How did you know to debug that when you just wrote a new function? Oh, because that's gonna stop. Okay.
Yeah, you can stop it. You can put it right here. You can put it right here. It doesn't really matter in this case. So when we step into for each, we see callback. So I think here's where it's really helpful to use the console while you're using the debugger. You can see, okay, so callback is, I guess a trick is you want to use console dir because to get more information about it. Console dir does its best to show the value as an object. And so here you can see that callback hasn't been bound to anything at this time. And for each callback is going to be the same as callback because we're setting for each callback to callback, right? However, because we added a configurable this object, for each callback is going to be modified to this instead. And so once this code runs, if we console dir for each callback, you'll notice the function is bound, and it has a specific bound object, which is the configurable this object, right? This is the same as the bound this right here, right? So now that we know for each callback is bound to the object with name Heggy, and now in our for loop we're going to call for each callback, which we know is bound to Heggy. And so this time we're going to get the result we expect.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Any questions?
No, I think I just have to watch this like 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to run the debugger. So once I run the debugger and see things assigning, and this is actually doing Heggy, and it helps a lot.
Right. And the other thing that is it can be helpful. This is kind of little known feature, but and I don't even know that I mentioned it, but if you console dir, you can get a little bit more information about the functions in the console. So that can be helpful, especially when you're doing binding, because you can inspect the bound to this. And also, I think you get that same information in the debugger as well. I actually don't know. Let me confirm. What? I'm gonna try to run that code again and see if the so like for each callback. Oh, that. Oh, it hasn't been bound yet, but now, yeah. So in the debugger, it actually tells you the same thing, which is pretty nice. So you see the bound of this object, and you can look at it. This is really nice feature. So if you do this, you don't need to console dir. Like I said, it's kind of unnecessary. But that's really helpful to seeing, like, because sometimes the code can get really complicated and you can actually forget whether you've bound it or not. And so if you inspect it in the debugger, it's pretty helpful. The other really interesting thing, this is more of a side note, but more for fun. But if you take a function and take let's take this function, the log this, I'll call log this. So if you have a simple function like log this, and you take log this and you bind it to just an empty object, and then console dir this, remember before the function was just called bound? Now it's called bound log this, because before we had an anonymous function. So when we before, when we had this function, it was anonymous. And so when we inspected the function, the name was just bound. But you notice just kind of a little thing is that JavaScript will prefix the name with bound, and it'll preserve the original name as well. But so if you have a name, it just preserves it. And uses bound as a prefix. If you don't have a name, it just uses bound. So that's kind of cool to notice. And you can also bind args too. So say that you bound arguments. I think this is how you use it. I forgot. Let's just try it out. Bound args appear here as well. So that can be helpful, though it's pretty detailed stuff. Heggy, do you have any other questions? I feel like you have a good now. You have a good set of like techniques to learn about this further.
Yes. Usually it takes me like 3-4 times to watch it. So I cannot say I understand it right now, but I can watch it 3 times and probably understand it and then do it myself.
Okay, cool. Do you have any other questions? Any other code questions?
No, this time.
Okay. Cool. Wait, Brian, are you there?
Yep.
Do you want to talk about the thing that made bind click for you?
I think it was just when you go to the doc, I linked it up in the side if you're in the Hangouts, I guess. I don't know if other people can see that, but if you go to the MDM bind, in the first line of it is the bind method creates a new function. And as simple as that is, I just wasn't thinking of it like that. So when you're returning a new function, what are you returning it to? And that's like when we were talking with Devin about when you return, you're passing a value to something. And so that's why it clicked. That's when it clicked in my mind why we were having to assign it to either reassign it to callback, our original callback value, or make a new variable and assign it to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, and I think it's easy to overthink it too.
Yeah.
You know, real easy too. But it's just as simple as it's just returning that new function, and we have to put that new function in a variable to use it again, or else it just poofs, right? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, you either have to put it in a variable, or you can run it immediately. So in a couple, so I'll show you a case where you run it immediately. But this is actually really clear. It returns a copy of the given function with the specified this value and initial arguments. So we saw that the bound arguments like show up, bound this shows up. I'll show you an example where you don't have to assign it to variable. I'm not saying you should do this. I actually don't think you should do this because it's hard to read. But if you just throw on an extra parentheses, you can run it. Because what?
What?
Yeah. So Brian, so you can just call it immediately. And in this case, you didn't assign it to a function, but you could also.
Okay, I see. So it still needs to run. It's just when you're doing it without passing it to a variable, it's not,
yeah. I mean, I think this is preferred.
Function. It's not running the function, right?
Yeah. So I guess what you would say is like the result of running this function is it's similar to log this dot bind. It's similar to that. Does that make sense?
I guess without the context around it, I guess it's hard.
Well, I guess the other thing you can look at is if you just use some simple substitution, you can see that this is true. Bound log this is equal to. So let's decompose bound log this. Well, if you look at bound log this, it's equal to this part, right? So if we just replace that, then do you see that it's the same as? Brian, you there?
Yep.
Yes. Do you see that it's the same now?
Right.
Yeah. It's just substituting. I mean, this could just be easily replaced with bound log this. It's the same thing.
So I got a question. So back to the example that she was talking about in the code earlier, with the optional this arg or whatever it was called. If you run callback.bind in your object without passing it to a variable, so it returns the new function, but it wasn't assigned anywhere. So does that still exist somewhere, or does it just?
It still exists somewhere, but probably will be garbage collected and deleted.
Gotcha.
Because like there's no, it returned a copy of the function with the bounds this value, but it returned it to nowhere.
Right.
Right. So what JavaScript is going to do is it's going to get rid of it.
Okay.
So it in some, I mean, you can think of it as not existing. It's not far off from not existing. It'll exist for like one moment and then.
Right, until it's like, this isn't being used, get rid of that.
Exactly. But the same thing happens here. If you run this function and then you call it immediately, and there's no variable referencing this function, it'll also get garbage collected.
Right,
And,
but it does change this. It changes this, and then it's gone, and then it's
exactly for a moment in time while it's running.
Gotcha. Well, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Good question. So next was Devin. Devin, you there? Can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
The question I had was comparing the map and the for each methods.
Okay.
I mean, I have a better understanding of it now.
Did you look at for each in practical JavaScript and how it was used?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how to share my screen, but
Okay. It's like scroll to the top left and there'll be a green screen with an arrow in it.
okay.
You see it?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so like in the example from practical JavaScript,
Okay.
we call for each on the this.todos.
Mm-hmm.
And for each element in the todos, a function runs that takes in the to-do parameter or the item we're on and checks to see and sets its completed property to is check.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's just my question at first was I didn't really see the point of for each because I felt functions were useless if they didn't return a value.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, this function is just, it doesn't have to return a value. It's just changing at whatever moment in time that is called on the to-dos. It's just changing its property.
Yeah. So it's like you could summarize by saying it's modifying existing data.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not returning. It's not like for example, we just looked at bind function prototype bind, and bind returns a copy of the function that has a new this value. So that returns a specific thing, a new function. This callback function to do dot completed is checked. Doesn't return anything because that's not the intention. The intention is to take a to do object and modify the completed property.
All right.
And that's it. So there's there's no need to return anything.
Yeah, so that was just a misunderstanding on my part, I think, with the use of functions. Yeah, but other than that, it was everything else has been fairly straightforward.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
And then Dev and I talked a little bit earlier, but I'll quiz you on some of the array method stuff after the broadcast ends.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Okay. Cool. All right. Next, Brian. Did I already talk to you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been talking. I'm good.
No questions?
Not yet.
Okay. Oh, we might be at the limits. Logan got in too.
If
Okay.
you need to step out, I can.
No, it looks like Logan got in. Whoa, I thought you could only have 8 people. So you have 9. Whatever.
I can get out too, Gordon.
No, it's cool. It's cool. How about this? If you're trying to call in but you can't, then send a note on the YouTube live stream. So, I'm sharing my screen now. So if you're trying to call in, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people. I thought it could only be 8 people. So I feel like I'm learning something new here. I want to see what the limits are.
I think someone said 10.
It's 10 now?
I think I could be just.
Okay, well, anyway, so if you're having trouble calling in, just send a message in the live chat right here and I'll kick someone out. Or someone will graciously step out.
I say you just kick someone at random.
Casey is having trouble getting in.
I can step out.
No,
Okay.
I'll leave. Let me leave.
Wait, hold on. Wait, so,
anymore.
but Jason, do you have a question?
I do not have a question. Heggy would probably have a question. I can just listen.
No,
Okay.
I already asked my question, Jason, so I can step out. So, let me get out.
Oh, let's see. Fine.
Okay, cool. So Casey, there's room now for you to call in.
I've actually been in for a while. I just didn't have the plugin installed on this.
Oh, you're here.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Hi,
didn't
guys.
notice you're there. Oh wow, I thought. Okay, never mind. So, Heggy, I think you can call back in. All right. Okay, sorry. So I'm totally lost now. Who was I talking to before? Was it Devin? Devin. Oh yeah, I just finished answering your question. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. Thomas. You there, Thomas?
Yeah, hi. How's it going, Gordon?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks.
Did you have any questions?
Nope, nothing really at this time. No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good job on watching the latest video, the recursion video. Did you have any questions? I was just looking at your comments about that you kind of stopped in the middle and were able to follow the logic already.
Yeah.
Cool. That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Were you able to like when you thought about it on your own, did you think about it at the level that like in the diagrams in the video?
You know what? No, probably not. Like, I mean, I guess I really don't think about it too much like that. Like, I understand that that's what it's doing, but I don't often stop and think about every layer that it's going through. I like when you go through and you can look at the call stack. I find that really kind of reminds me like what recursion's actually doing. Like I know what it's doing, but when you actually see everything that's happening through the debugger, I find that pretty useful.
Yeah. I think it's hard to, that one I thought was particularly hard to go through because like you expect map to go on the call stack and it doesn't, and then it like kind of invisibly calls the map callback, and then it returns back to an unexpected place, right? It seems to skip a step. So what I really recommend you do, I don't know if you've done it yet, but run the same code but with the map function you wrote in the testing series, and then you can see a complete call stack without the skipping of frames.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, I think it's helpful because as there can be examples of recursion that are actually much more complicated than this one, and that's when you'll really want to follow the little. But I find the good thing is even if you have a super complicated case, if you just play around with it on small inputs, you get it's the same for however big your input is, right? So, for example, like in the recursive mapping example, you have two call stacks. You have two stack frames for each array layer, right? And then you have one for the base case, and that's true no matter how many layers you have.
Right.
So if you do one or two, that's all you need. That's what I just did.
Mm-hmm.
One and then two. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome. So next, Jason, you don't have any questions, right? Then we will go. Casey's next. Can you hear me, Casey?
What's up? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Sweet. Unfortunately, I'm in the middle of moving and I'm not on my computer and I don't have my code.
Okay.
Because I'm not using the third-party stuff and using my own Atom thing. Anyway, so that's inconvenient at this point. But on version 8, that's where I'm at.
Okay.
And I've looked at this forever, so I can tell you a lot about it.
Let me try to open version 8 up on my computer and I'll share it. Well, I think that'll help. Is that okay?
Yes, definitely. I'm on it.
Just give me one second, because I don't remember it. so at least help me. Version 8. You'll have to tell me if this is right, because I don't really remember. Okay, Casey, do you see my screen?
Yes.
Is it? Wait, are you on your phone?
No.
Okay, so it's okay. It's not.
No, I'm on my sister's computer.
Okay, got it. I thought you were on like a tiny screen. I was worried that you can't see it. Does this look like version 8?
It does.
Okay, cool. So this is the code without typos or anything. Exactly like, I think at the end of version 8, I believe.
Gotcha. Yeah, so any of the like delete to do or the change to do or any of them where you're putting a value as a number in.
Wait, hold on. Let me. Brian asked me to make it bigger. Is that good, Brian? Okay. All right. Sorry, Casey. Go ahead.
That's all right. So I've gone through this a bunch. My code looks identical, and I'm running into problems with the So, for instance, the change to do position input.
Change to do position.
In line 77.
Okay, so like these lines.
Yeah, where you're setting the value back to clear the inputs.
Mm-hmm.
Any of the ones that I have a value as a number, it's not working properly. So when I did the debugger thing, it would always stop at that point, and it would say that trying to reset that value was impossible because the value was null.
Hmm.
And I don't know why that's happening to me.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know either without looking at the code.
Everything else works just fine. It's just right when it gets to that spot.
Here's
it's
what I
all-
would do to, Casey, this would probably fix your problem really fast. The problem could be in script.js. It could also be in your HTML.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not sure which one because I can't see either of them.
Right.
So what I would do is you can just go to this link and you'll see the exact same code I have here. And so just run this experiment, swap out my JavaScript for your JavaScript, and then run it and see if it works.
Okay.
If it still doesn't work, then it's not the JavaScript. So you can swap your JavaScript back in, and then do the same thing for HTML. Swap out your HTML for mine and see if it works. And if it works, then you have probably a tiny typo in your HTML. Perhaps like Brian mentioned, maybe value as number or something. I guess that was in the JavaScript. But anyway, I think the bug is going to be subtle, like very subtle. So instead of like going character by character, that might be the fastest way to find the problem.
Okay.
And yeah, I think it's probably, I think in 5 minutes you'll be able to find it if you do that.
It's been bothering me. I've been having trouble advancing because it's not working, you know?
Yeah, no, I hear you. Let's make sure that this works. Maybe I want to make sure that the bug you're talking about, like I don't have the same bug. Wait, so like what? So what did you do to trigger the bug?
So anytime you use delete or change to do, you have to enter the position, right?
Okay, so let's add Casey and then delete Casey.
Right.
Okay, so mine appears to work.
Right, and then in the debugger, when I go through it, it's definitely that part of the function, the change to, or sorry, I guess in this case, delete to do position value, setting it back equal to like an empty space. That's when the bug happens, and that's when it tells me that it's null and doesn't.
Oh,
work.
right here, at line 83.
Yep.
Do you have the value as number right here?
I do.
You do. It might be in your HTML, possibly. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
it'd be a lot cooler if I had my code with me.
Yeah. Well, the best thing you can do, I'm telling you, it's gonna be a 5-minute job. I shared the link in the.
I got it.
Hangout. Go. Swap out your HTML with mine. Swap out your JavaScript with mine, and then you'll see which file is broken. And then once you know which file is broken, then go through character by character, because there must be. Yeah, I mean, then you'll pinpoint where the problem is. Then you'll be able to find it.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. Sorry, it's the best I can do right now.
Yeah, no, I understand. It'd be, like I said, it'd be a lot easier if I had the code with me.
Yeah. We'll hope that your move goes well and you have it next time.
Yeah, it's going okay.
Casey, do you have any other questions I can help with?
No, everything else has been super awesome. Typical, went through all those other things and started on this, and everything started to click. So
Awesome.
I appreciate what you do.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for taking the time to go through the stuff and showing up.
Yeah.
All right, so we got, who's the next? Next is David. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Good evening, everyone. I got Base Challenge 3 done today, so that's good.
Did you see my comment? I added a comment.
No, I didn't.
Man, GitHub does not send notifications.
If it's not an attaboy, then you're gonna make me cry, Gordon.
It's not. It's a straightforward comment.
Okay.
It's one of the terse ones.
Okay.
Yeah, since you didn't get the notification,
All right, I'll look at it. No push-ups today.
Oh, do you see it? It's right here.
Oh wait, your screen. Oh, there aren't any.
There aren't any.
No, I didn't do any. I didn't see any in the few that I looked at. So where are you supposed to put them? Oh, do you mean the test for the different calls?
I think ideally you have real tests.
Oh, okay.
But at least the minimum that
Yeah.
the example ones work.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we should include those or not, because it's kind of mixed.
Yeah, I think I should add a note, and I'll add a note for myself to modify the problem to enforce tests, because I think this is a good example where testing is really valuable. This code is subtle enough. Let me go back to your solution. This code is subtle enough that like anything could break it, right? And by reading it, I can't really tell. At least not easily. It would take me a little bit of time to go through and
Okay.
check everything, right? So what's really nice in that case is just having tests that they just show me it works, and then I don't have to do anything. And then I can just focus on like, why did you choose to do it this way? I'm wondering about more. Well, it allows me to worry about more like nuanced things versus right now I'm worried like I'm not sure if it works. You see what I mean?
Trust me.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so
I was so burned out on it. I was just happy that it was working, and so I
Uh-huh.
could move on to something else. But
I mean the other thing is that I really think that the writing the tests helps you write the code.
Yeah.
I
that's
think
something I have
that
to get better at also.
you'll I think when you do the next one, this is where it's like it becomes unsustainable not to have tests.
Mhm.
Because there are just too many details to. It's like Reduce. Reduce has too many things to keep track of.
Right.
So I said, yeah, you should write tests to make sure your solution fulfills all the requirements.
Okay. I'll do
So-
that going forward.
Yeah, let me. Well, if you write the tests, I'll do a code review for you.
Okay.
Deal?
Deal.
All right. It's good for you.
It
It's
is. Yeah. It was like I said, I was just so burned out on it, and then you kind of got me anxious last night with
starting on
everything
it.
that was going
But,
on.
but once you started, it was pretty fast, right? It seemed really fast.
I got close, and then I had to sleep on it, and I did have to look at someone's example,
Mhm.
but I was really close. But I was just so burnt out on doing it.
Well, yeah. Well, good job.
All right,
I
thank
think
you.
it's great. I think it's great.
Yeah.
And we'll look at it when you get those tests. So I'm adding a to-do list item for me to tell people to use tests in third problem. In libraries, I'll just be library system with dependencies.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Cool. And then
Thank
we have. Wait, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, and great job. I know you've been working hard this week.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why you're in the. That's why you and
Study
Devin.
group hero.
What?
A study group hero.
Study group hero right there. And Brian and Devin and Eddie too. Okay.
Yeah,
And Heggy. Well, Heggy has already monopolized this.
that's true.
She's
So-
already got like 15 of them, man.
Yeah,
Right.
she's. I can't let her get too famous. Okay, David, do you have any other questions? Good work.
No, thanks, Gordon. Yeah, I'll be working tonight, so if anybody wants to join,
Damn, that is dedication.
need a job, man.
Okay, so next. So here's what I'm gonna do. Logan, are you there? Logan?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's good. So here's what I'm gonna do. So your question, I know what your question is, but it's a little bit more general. It's not like focused on the material. So we'll talk about it off air once I end the broadcast. Is that okay?
That is okay.
Okay, unless you really want it to be public. Just kidding. No, it's just
It's not necessary. We can talk.
yeah, we'll be able to talk just casually. It's just a more general question, not really related to the specific code that we're going through. Okay, and then so I'm gonna end the broadcast. So if you're watching, thank you for joining, and thanks for choosing to learn at Watching Code. I appreciate that. If you don't know, we typically have off the air chat that's more casual. It doesn't have to be focused on the specific JavaScript problems in the courses. So if you want to join us for that, then call into the Hangout. And so we're going to talk to Logan. We're going to I'm going to drill. I'm going to quiz Devin and Heggy and see if they learned what they told me they learned, and other stuff. So if you're interested in that, call in. Okay. Other people, thanks for joining, and hope to see you next week. Get your questions ready.